recording episodes like this are just a pain in the ass. Okay. Yu-Gi-Oh VRAINS, episode 89 impression, take whatever, going live in 3, 2, 1. Well, you can't fix stupid. Hey everyone, Templar74 here with another Yu-Gi-Oh video, and today's Yu-Gi-Oh video is going to be my thoughts and impressions regarding the latest episode of Yu-Gi-Oh VRAINS, episode 89, Two Flames Unite. And I gotta be honest with you guys, this episode, this duel as a matter of fact, was arguably the hardest duel to ever predict so far in VRAINS. This was really a duel that was up in the air on who could have won, because really it could have went either way. And people were really torn on who was going to win this. I was partial to Wendy was going to win this, and ultimately I was proven wrong. Now don't get me wrong, I'm glad that Wendy lost in a way because I don't like Wendy, but at the same time I really don't like how they gave Soulburner, which at this point is basically Playmaker 2.0, this win like this. I'm conflicted on how I feel about the episode. I think that's the best way to put it, and I'll try to elaborate further on what I mean by that as we talk about this week's episode. So, without further ado, let's actually move on to the episode. So the episode begins where we left off last week with Soulburner. He's at the disadvantage here. He's got a huge disadvantage. He's at 600 life points. Wendy's at 4,000. Wendy has the upper hand here, and Soulburner's field is wiped clean. However, Soulburner is undeterred. He actually uses multiple different spell cards and is able to ultimately revive Heat Lyo with the spell card Rising Fire. However, even as he's doing this, Wendy keeps using Bahamut Bomber's effect, and ultimately Soulburner's able to bring Heat Lyo back to the field despite Bahamut Bomber's effects, and is able to equip it with Salamangreat Claw is the name of the spell. And basically what this does is it gives Heat Lyo not just an attack boost, but it also gives him the ability to attack 3 times in one battle phase. And Wendy he's acting like, no, don't do it. And Soulburner comes in, he destroys Bahamut Bomber, and actually summons 2 tokens to Wendy's field because he actually equipped a spell card to Bahamut Bomber on purpose so that these tokens would appear. They have 0 attack points. Soulburner still has 2 more attacks. Soulburner moves in for another attack. However, Wendy, we learn, is just pulling their leg. He just activates the effect of Gold Diver in his hand, which basically cuts the damage in half from Soulburner's attack. So this knocks his life points below 1,000. We know where this is going for that. But Wendy is still in the game. So we see here a very interesting point in the episode. Soulburner's infuriated by this. He decides he's going to set a card. However, Flame is saying, no, don't do it, because Wendy has a counter for it. I'm sure he does. However, Soulburner is basically, I'm going to set the card anyway, and he sets the card against Flame's advice. And Wendy actually uses this to mock Flame and mock Soulburner, basically saying, see, he's not listening to you. You're better off on your own. Partners are a nuisance, just like I said before. And so we go on. Wendy does inevitably what we knew he was going to do. He uses Storm Access, and he's able to get a Link 4 monster out of the Data Storm, and that monster is Link 4 Flagship Bahamut Bomber Custom, and it's got 3,000 attack points. Wendy's able to summon this card, and thanks to his Blast spell card, he's able to give it another 700 attack. So 3,700 attack points here. And he does also destroy that face down card. And we learned that that trap card is Salamangreat Aztec. And basically, we get the big got ya moment of the episode, and this is where the duel really turned around in Soulburner's favor, because they wanted Wendy to destroy that card. They tricked him, and this angers Wendy. But when this card was destroyed, basically they banish it. Soulburner's able to summon Falco back to the field in defense position to ultimately save his hide from being destroyed by Bahamut Bomber Custom. And so Wendy's infuriated by this. He ends his turn and basically says, this will be your last turn. That draw is the fate of Flame, essentially, is what he tells Soulburner. So we get a final draw, and we get a new monster, Salamangreat Gazelle. It's a 3-star monster, and Soulburner brings it out along with Salamangreat Spinny through a special summon here. and Spinny and Gazelle. Okay, 3 level 3 monsters. This is where we ultimately see Soulburner XG summon for the first time in the series, and he's able to bring out rank 3 Salamangreat Mirage Stallion. And I gotta be honest with you, I liked the card, don't get me wrong, but this is part of what I had a problem with in this episode on a side rant here. And it's not just this episode. It's actually something that has gone on all throughout Vrains so far, is just when these new summoning methods appear, there's no rhyme or reason behind them. They just appear out of nowhere. They just conveniently appear when the hero is ultimately going to lose to save their skin. That's what happened when Revolver used Synchro for the first time, when Playmaker used Ritual for the first time, when Playmaker used XGs for the first time. You know, you get this coming on, and this is something that I've had a beef with Vrains since they've started doing this, is the new other summoning methods just randomly show up out of nowhere, and ultimately when the new summoning method shows up, whoever uses that new summoning method wins the duel. So at this point we know who's going to win the duel just from that XG summon. However, that aside, I still have to say the XG summoning animations in Vrains are incredible. Even though I did not like how it just randomly popped out of nowhere, and this is true for all the summoning methods so far, the animations for all of these summoning methods are just epic in my opinion. Love the animations, not so thrilled with how they just pop up out of nowhere. That's essentially my beef with that. So anyway, Link 3, Salamangreat Mirage Stallion appears, and he uses its effect to put back 2 copies of Heat Lyo from his graveyard back into the extra deck, and Windy is just like, he loses his cool at this point. He knows he's toast at this point when Soulburner brings out Heat Lyo one last time through a reincarnation Link summon and attacks Windy and wins the duel. And we watch Windy get consumed in this fire. He's screaming, he's angry, he's screaming for Lightning's help, but Lightning's just watching on, and Lightning's like, well, there's no cure for stupid. He's just basically going to let Windy just be destroyed at this point. And Windy is basically, he loses the duel, and Flame and Soulburner approach him. He's on the ground, and Flame is basically saying, you lost because you lost your cool. But rather than Windy dying in Mirror Link Vrains like everybody else that's lost so far, like with Spectre, he's not really, how do I put this? Windy is not really dead, because basically what happened is Flame is like, I will hold on to your data, and Flame absorbs Windy as Windy is cursing both Flame and Soulburner, saying, curse you, I will never forgive you, and he disappears within Flame. And Soulburner actually says to Flame, curse, and Flame's like, eyes don't believe in curses, as they look on at the sky above. And that's essentially where the episode left off. So like I said, my prediction was ultimately shot down, because I said last week that my prediction for this duel was that Windy was going to win. Well, that turned out not to happen. I'm still up in the air on how the whole duel between Blue Maiden and Bowman is going, although I typically do agree that the first duel usually spells out how the rest of them are going to go. Since Soulburner won this duel, I'm pretty sure now at this point it's pretty much going to be confirmed Blue Maiden and Aqua are going to wipe the floor with Bowman. I really hope they don't do that, but at the same time, I want Blue Maiden to get her win. So it's just one of these things where it's like you build up these characters so much. You build up Windy, you build up Bowman, you build up Lightning. So far, Lightning's the only one that's won. Bowman, I got to admit, is still up in the air because he is yet to go against Blue Maiden. But if Blue Maiden wins, yes, Blue Maiden finally gets her win and what might be the ultimate comeback for her. At the same time, you feel like all of Bowman's development is for naught. So that's what I'm kind of afraid is going to happen next week. And like I said, they're just making Soulburner apparently Playmaker 2.0. Soulburner has yet to lose, although he should for character development purposes, in my opinion. He is yet to lose. And this episode just kind of made me more angry at that we're not seeing this, because it essentially is Playmaker 2.0 in my opinion. But side rant aside, like I said, I really was not crazy about Soulburner just amazingly having an XG summon when it was convenient for him. I'm not thrilled that Soulburner won this per se, although I really didn't want Wendy to win. At the same time, I felt it was time for a Soulburner loss. But yeah, overall, the duel, it was hard to predict. It was exciting. It's just, it's complicated how I feel about it. So overall, if we're going to talk about the episode, I give this episode a 5 out of 10 because this episode, yes, it had incredible animation. Yes, Wendy lost, which I was so thrilled to see Wendy lose just because he's the bad guy, and I never like to see the bad guy win. I really didn't like how the XG summon just appeared out of nowhere and saved Soulburner's hide, and I really think that Soulburner should have lost at least once by now instead of being a Playmaker 2.0, but I may be alone in that opinion. So, with that being said, the duel was great. This episode, not so much, and I'll leave it at that. So, as always, for everybody, in the comments section down below, let me know what you guys thought about this week's episode. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was just there? What were your thoughts? Just let me know in the comments section down below, because as always, I enjoy hearing from you. Alright, everyone, as always, Templar74 signing off. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll talk to you all next time. Goodbye, everybody.